Yes, Gunners Collective TV, back at it. You already know, like a motherfucking smack addict. Bye up, bye up. And we're gonna get straight to the content of the day. But before we do, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that I am kicking. And I appreciate your support, man. I truly do. I'm very humbled. So we're gonna do Vintage Gunners Collective TV today, right? All this Wes Watson bullshit and Jay-Z and P. Diddy and all that's going on, that's fine. That's news, man. That's hood news. Everybody wants to know. Everybody loves the drama, right? But how about I take it back and get to where go back to where I started and get back to where I'm coming from, right? And that's positivity and bringing you guys some real stories, man. Real life things that happen, So this story right here, this interview actually, man, is about the first time the Norteños and the Bulldogs pulled up to Fred C. Nellis in Southern California, and exactly what went down from a different person's perspective, from actually a Paru's perspective that was actually there with us. And he's going to tell you, man, first and foremost, exactly how it was, because there's a lot of misconceptions, man, that Norteños were punked right off the bus or had a fucking PC up or rolled it up. That wasn't the case, right? So without further ado, man, I'm going to drop this little interview on you guys. Vintage Gunners Collective TV, you already know what it is, man. I appreciate all the support. If you're new to the channel, like and subscribe, because you're going to be getting a lot of heat, man, on this channel. And it just is what it is, man. Gracias. The gun. Bang, bang.
Hey, how you doing, Gunner?
Man, I'm just trying to live, bro. So let's get straight to it, man. So we were chopping it up, bro. And prior to Northerners getting to Nellis, you were telling me about the counselors having some type of meeting. What was they talking about, bro?
Yeah, we had came back from school. Cleveland, when you come back from school and everything, right before dinner was coming down, before we came out for dinner, they fill in the roles for day room before you go out to dinner. All the counselors came out, and it was like, we about to have some changes. Some people finna move up out of the unit, and we got some people from Northern California finna come down here. At this time, I've been in Nellis like a year or two, so there ain't never been no Northerners down there. You know what I'm saying? Not no time that I remember. So, Ms. Heard, Fox, Mr. Fox, and all them, the counselors, the YCs, they was like, in about 2 weeks, they gonna come to Truman, and this is gonna be the college they land on, Cleveland. And we was like, I seen like about a week later, I seen all the essays, the ones that don't get along with each other. I think they had got a kite from YTS, basically letting them know, like, if y'all don't handle business, I think they was finna drop that Cottage Levi or the whole Nellis. It was one or the other, though. But I seen me and my boy Muggsy, we was cool. He was from Prometta Flats. He had a unit at the time, big dude. And then Droopy. And I was like, damn, I don't think they don't get along, because I think one was from Heartbeats and one was from Prometta Flats. I don't know if they even got along, but at this time they all had a unit meeting, and they said that was coming. And then next thing you know, like 2 weeks later, dog, we seen the bus come in, and they were saying they was going to Truman first. It was late night. I think, you coming from Northern Cali, you gonna get to Nellis kind of late. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Coming down that ride, and then Cleveland worked in the kitchen. Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember they had Truman. They had some cats from Truman, and then for the most part, it was Cleveland that always ran the kitchen.
The Cleveland, we worked in the back. We cooked the food, and then Truman would like serve it. You know what I mean? Wipe the tables and all the shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We was at work one day, and I seen when they first came in. I could see the look. I knew they wasn't no Southsiders. You know what I mean? Their little glow was different. You know what I mean? The whole little look was different. There was couple of them had their little San Jose. What's that little shark fin they had? You know what I mean? Couple people had that and DuckTales, and I was like, okay, these must be the North Age right here. And then so some time went by, like a week went by. I don't think they stayed on Truman that long. I don't know if anything happened on Truman at the time, but about a week later, they came to Cleveland. And then the first ones that came in, it was funny because I was sitting there with the grandparents. You know, remember that grandmother program?
Absolutely, yeah. I remember they used to have that program.
I was sitting there with one of the grandmothers, and it was like, I think the first one was like 5 or 6 of them came. I remember it was Shorty, Joey Boy, white boy K9. I never forget him because he was a motherfucking fool. I think did Spooky come on that first bus?
No, Spooky actually came like on the third or fourth bus. Tell you the
he
truth.
slept next to me on Cleveland on the short wall. Remember they had a lot of people on the short wall. You know what I mean? Like on the the single bunks towards the front.
Yeah, short wall, and then on the other side was the tall wall. Yep.
Right. They came in with a box, and the first one I hit up was Joey Boy. And I was like, because he had a little walk to him with the fade, and I like, man, he don't even look like no Sereno. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was in the day room while everybody was in the back. I was cleaning up. And Joey Boy, I hit him up, like, hey, homie, where you from? He was like, oh, he said, I'm from Bulldogs. I think he was from East Side Fresno, I think.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, he's like, I'm from East Side Fresno Bulldogs. And I'm like, what's up, my nigga? I said, I'm from Waterfront Power Road. They call me Mobile, homie. And he was like, well, that's what's up. And then I think Shorty came with him. Was Shorty with him too on that one?
Yeah, Shorty's also from the east side. He had the little bulldog on his hand.
Yeah, he had heart, though. That little dude had heart. And he had little hands. You know what I mean? He stayed down. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then they pulled up in the day room and shit. So they ended up giving them their bunks. So a lot of them was on the short wall, like by the office, more in the front. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They came out the day room. And you know Nellis, we played them chair games in Nellis. You know what I mean?
Them Cadillacs.
Yeah, them Cadillacs. So when they came out to fill in the roles for Chow, them motherfuckers, and then they said day room up. Them motherfuckers stayed in the chairs that they was in because they didn't know that was certain people around for. You feel me?
Yeah.
I seen Joey Boy and them they didn't get pressed. It was like, hey, homie, you gotta get up. I think my boy Puppet, he was from Pico Rivera, I think. I don't know where, but one of them, it's like, hey, homie, you sitting in my shit, homie. And it was like, all right, he got up, moved over one seat, Joey Boy. And then he got up, moved over one seat. Then another SA came up like, hey, homie, that's my seat. And then he got up and moved. Do you remember that Asian SA that was there from Santa Ynez?
Hey, I was going to ask you about him. Remember, he used to be stay creased up, huh?
Yeah. So, to me, he wasn't all that, but you know what I mean? He tried to tell, hey, one of them, hey, that's my seat right there. So they end up getting up going to the tables. You know what I mean? Because they wasn't established yet. They don't know nothing. They don't know what's going on. So they end up going to the tables and shit. So they talking to each other like, what this seat shit about, man? Everybody's tripping on these seats and shit. So we fill in the rows. We going out to Chow and shit. And then we go to Chow, we in line movement. You know, you can tell they kind of looking like, man, what the fuck going on? We don't know nothing. So we fill in the row. We go to Chow. But I think they kicked it. If it wasn't the first night, they kicked it off the next night. I'm trying to think, was it the first night, though, after Chow? Because they kicked it off in the motherfucking day room immediately. I remember as soon as they said day room or something, basically we was using the microwave, me and my homie. It was only like a couple bloods on the unit. Me and my homie Lil Sheik from NHP. And I think my homie B-Rap, Big B-Rap was there from NHP. And he was like, they about to set it off. I'm like, oh, he's like the essays and them right now. And next thing you know, I just seen Joey Boy, Gonell and all them doing their shit. They was mixing. They was doing their shit, but they was fighting some riders. You know, Droopy and them, they can swap. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, Droopy from Harpies.
From Harpies, yeah, they could fight, man. I fought a couple of them behind the handball court. So I'm like, man, they going at it, though. The North Daniels is handling their business, though, for the first Royal Rumble. They didn't get, like, demolished or nothing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
A couple people had 2 or 3 on them versus 1, you know what I mean? But that motherfucking Joey Boy and K9, they was doing their thing. Like, I watched them the most, because when they went to the hall, I was telling my homies, like, 2 motherfuckers right there. They was like, yeah. But they was doing their shit. So,
yeah, they definitely were with the business, man. Hey, you know what's funny? You mentioned Sheik, man, because Sheik actually backed my play behind that band a couple times, man. Me and Sheik done.
Hey, I be talking to Sheik still to this day.
Yeah, man. I remember one day it was him and Whack 100. In fact, Cash.
Yeah, and, Cash Jones.
Yeah, man, and they were walking behind the bin, and I already knew, man. Every day it was on a cracking, and they was like, "Hey, homie," and I was like, "What's up?" They're like, "Just walk behind us. It's on, man." And anyone that wanted it, the first day, motherfuckers didn't want it. The next day, they wanted to test the waters, and man, we were giving people the bill.
Yeah.
So that's a trip. So yeah, the second busload rolls up, and I'm on that second busload, right?
Right.
And I remember we rolled up, and we weren't there for too long, man. And then we shipped to Kennedy. We shipped out to Kennedy, and so then the next bus rolls in, and that's Spooky. And you had a little story about Spooky. To reiterate what he was saying about Sporty, or what was that? Man, you was right there, though.
So Spooky, he slept right there. They kept him like probably the second bunk from the cage. You know where the police be. He was on the short wall and shit. And then we was doing shower time and shit. So everybody wrapped in their little towels and shit. You know, you go to your locker, grab your shit. And I think the fool Spooky, he was from I think he was from Baldwin Park. I think he was from East Side Baldwin or North Side Baldwin, one of them. And then he said something to Spooky, man. And Spooky cracked the shit out of him. I couldn't believe it because I've seen Sporty fight. You know what I mean? What motherfuckers. But this motherfucker Spooky cracked him so hard and got on him, like everybody felt bad. They didn't even want it. They just took the knockout and took it as an L. So now they seen that these motherfuckers got hands. Because Gonejo, he had got down with somebody. He had got dazed. But then the second round, he went with somebody. He fucked up. So now they seen that the North Daniels got hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I ain't gonna lie, that shit kind of changed quick because within a month or two, like I seen the Joey Boy and them talking to Muggsy. They must have got a kite from somewhere, and that's when I was like the North Daniels. He told me, he slept by me like, man, we ain't North Daniels no more. And this is like the same time the Hoovers had turned kind of like criminal. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Like, hey, because my boy Trouble from 7-4 Hoover, he was like, he came in from school and one day like, we ain't even Crips no more, nigga, we criminals. I'm like, what? Like, so I'm like, the Fresno's just changed, and y'all just changed. So like, you know what I mean? So I was like, they both came kind of like to the end with the shit though.
And that's
kind of weird because
yeah.
There was a dude from Sac, he had Pyru tattooed on, but he said he was from Northside. Pyru's like a white boy type dude. But he was a North, they ended up turning North on the way down. You know what I mean? I was like, we was kind of short, so I was trying to recruit him to be back with blood. You know what I mean? Like, man, he's supposed to be a hump. You know what I mean? And then he was like, man, it was already too late. Shorty and all them had got to him already, but he, you know, he stood down and shit though.
Yeah, that's a trip. That's a trip. Man, you just reminded me of that. Yeah, the Hoovers did turn criminal around the same time as the Bulldogs turned dogs. I mean, they left the North to go because I remember, man, like we know a lot of the same people, man, and you know, man, the Crips was thick in YA, man. There was a lot of Hoovers, a lot of A-Trays, a lot of the O's,
PJs, you know,
man.
Watts, Compton.
Yeah, man, there was a lot of Watts. There was a lot of Compton. A lot of the 60s were in there. All the O's, you know, the Rollins, the neighborhoods, the Harlems. You know, and this is where I learned a lot about the neighborhoods down south in the LA area and just the Southern California because of Nellis, right? And Nellis, we had a little bit of everything. But you're right, man. There wasn't too many Pyrus, too many Bloods. But the ones that were there, man, were about their business. Most better believe that.
I remember, do you remember Black Cricket from Highland?
Absolutely.
I remember when I got down with his homeboy, I forgot his name, on Cleveland behind the handball court. It was another Highland. He was in Muggsy and then Rockford though. I had to beat it. That's right behind the handball court though, on some over the microwave. Okay. You know, motherfucker over the microwave like it's they turn next and all that.
Yeah. Did you ever come across while you were there? I don't know. I spoke on him. He's the homie D-Dog from Hoover.
Yeah, 9-4.
From 9-4 Hoover. He was a C14er, man.
Yeah. I seen that on your interview. D-Dog was a fool. Yeah. He was a fool. I remember when he was on Monroe before he went to Kennedy.
Yeah, he was most definitely with the business. So I know you end up leaving the Paso Robles. So before leaving the Paso Robles, did you ever experience the freeze that everyone talks about?
Oh, when everybody like laying on their stomach all day on the bunk? Yeah,
eating the cheese sandwiches?
Yeah, I seen that in Paso only. They just started doing that in Nellis when I left. I seen that in Paso. They did that on Paso every ride.
Man, that was ugly. That was
that was torture. It was torturing us like that, man. I mean, literally laying on your stomach all day with your hands behind your back. You can't do shit.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So YA was a crazy experience as far as, you know, for me and a lot of other Northerners. We went down there, man, and I'm just glad that I could reach out. Someone that was there, man, unbiased, someone that just, you know, was on the outside looking in, but you seen it with your own eyes, man, how people were establishing, holding their own down there. You know, it's a good...
I seen it all, and they held it down. I ain't gonna lie, the Northerners, I thought they was gonna kind of run y'all out of there. You know what I mean? Yeah. But they kept sending busloads and busloads. I'm like, man, these motherfuckers staying. What was the even though Nellis is closed now, what year did y'all end up on before they left and everybody leave? What year? How long y'all end up?
Yeah, I think the last that I heard, man, and I could be mistaken. I'm not sure, man. It was somewhere in the 2000s, the mid 2000s, I think, where the last Northerners shipped out. I think Javier, you know, he does an extensive podcast and an extensive history on Nellis, you know. And
I did, with him. I did one, but he was there way later because I'm a 6'4", 7'4", 6".
So I came like maybe a few months after you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, that's a trip, man. That's a trip. So you moved to Paso, and how was it over there in Paso Robles? I know there wasn't no Northerners over there. What was it like? Was it more the brothers going at it with the Sureños, or was it everyone just chilling?
It was more racial. It was that's where you start seeing more racial shit. Like, you know what I mean? It was more like race riots, like Paso. So I was on the Pomo. Then I went to which one was that? Monroe. Then before I paroled, I went to Chelan. Chelan was like a weak unit, but there wasn't no Northerners up there. It was just more like motherfuckers taking fade with their enemies if they was on the unit. You know what I mean? Little shit in school. Nellis, it wasn't nothing like Nellis. No, nothing. It wasn't. Nellis was the only place I seen as much fighting I ever seen. When I came back. I went to the pen. Then I got out and came back, and I still had wide parole because I was under 25. So they sent me to Chad for like a week, and then they ended up sending me to DeWitt. And DeWitt, that was like the calmest place I ever seen. I was on Tahoe, so that was like a little honor unit.
Yeah, that was Kush. That was Kush. I remember I was over there at probably about that time I was in Carl Holton, which, you know, everything's connects 4 institutions right there in one.
Right.
And man, DeWitt was the spot everyone was trying to get, because they actually had guys, and I tell people, man, they say, nah, you're bullshitting, but they actually had people that worked out there at that Jack in the Box out there, would go out to work and then come back in.
We was going to the streets. If you was on Tahoe, you could go to the streets and work.
Yeah.
Come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a true
story. And the North, it was like Northeast. Hey, you know what I heard you talk about too? I was always wondering about what's up with Cisco, Black Cisco.
You know what? I just chopped it up. Yeah, most definitely, man. I just chopped it up with Cisco from Frisco, right? Like maybe a couple months back.
That's my boy. I forgot to name him, man. He was one of them riders too up in there, man.
Oh, Cheyette Smith, right? With the XIV on his face.
He was real quiet, skinny, but he had heart as a motherfucker, man.
Man, heart of a lion, that man right there, right? Hey, you wouldn't expect it coming from him, but he was with the business, huh?
He was one of the first ones there too with the shit. That's why when I said, hey, this dude, I don't know how I got on your website to find you, but when you started saying them names, I'm like, hey, this dude was a Nellis when I was there. He named is Cisco, Joey Boy, K9. I can vouch every story you said except anything that happened after.
Oh, most definitely.
I seen Spooky like years later though, man, in San Quentin, like in '95. I seen him in San Quentin. I ended up going up north catching a case, or my grandma stayed in Vallejo, so I ended up having to go to San Quentin Reception Center. And we was on West Block. He still looked the same. You know, I'm like, from why? That's why he wasn't hard to recognize. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he don't change.
We was on the 5th tier on West Block. And he walked past my cell as we going to chow time with like lunch at dinner. And I said, I kept calling him Diablo though, because he was so crazy. I always thought his nickname was Diablo, but I remembered it. I said, hey, weren't you in Nellis? He was like, hell yeah. I said, you're from Salinas, right? He was like, yeah. And I was like, man, I kept calling him Diablo. He was like, Spooky, that's your name, Spooky, man. I said, I'll never forget you, man. This from that shit with Drew when he knocked down Sporty. I said, this motherfucker a rider right here, man. But I seen him do his shit in San Quentin too. That motherfucker's serious, man. He was a real one right there.
Oh yeah, he most definitely was with the business, man. Like I said, man, that's been knowing him since then, man, and our relationship is strong. You know, that's the homie, no doubt.
You know how you named a few people, everybody you remember because they left a mark around you. You know what I mean? And he's one of them Norteños that motherfucker didn't forget about. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you ain't never gonna forget about him. Yeah.
I always wonder what happened to his ass though. So when I seen you post his little shit, I was like, man, that's Spooky right there. So you know I had to tap in on that.
Yeah, you already knew what he was destined for. 103 years and 3 life sentences, and he's doing it like no other. That's him, you know.
I wouldn't even doubt the time. Just how gangster he was, though. You know what I mean? He was with all the bullshit, and he was real. He was serious. He was a real dude. Like he always, even in YA as a youngster. We 14, 15, he carried himself with like a serious demeanor. You didn't catch him smiling all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was with it. It takes a different type of character.
Hey, but ain't no youth authority like Nellis. When I was in SR, I was trying so bad at 14 to get to OH Flows. Because I heard they got Nintendo games. I was like, it was smooth up there. When I got that box under my door that said FCN, and everybody said, oh man, it was me and Chinaman. We all left the same day. Chinaman from 11 Deuce, Spider, we was all in SR together in Cabrillo.
Yep.
We all went together the same day. We was all 8, 9 gang members deep.
Yeah.
We was all together, man.
And them was all some real cats, man. Chinaman from 11 Deuce Hoover. You talking about Spider from Backstreet Watts.
My boy Tiny Solo.
Man.
I want to still around from A-Trey Gangsters. You know, Michael Meadows.
Oh,
you
man,
know?
Tiny Solo. He was right there on Cleveland with us. And I tell the story about how when I first got there and I sat down in that day room, he came up. Because, you know, man, he was the littlest guy ever in Nellis. Just
With the big heart. That boy was hard.
Man, that guy was super hard. A-Trey Gangster. And I remember he came out to the day room, and first thing he did is he walked up to me. Remember, he had that big old 8 and that 3 on his arms.
Right.
And he showed me the 3, right? And he was like, and then his mom, if I'm not mistaken, her name was Florence, because he had Florence on his forearm, and he was like, and he showed me the Florence and the 3, and he was like, "Where you from, SN?" And I stood up real quick. I was like, "This Merced, XIV, fool, what's cracking?" He was like, "Oh, you gonna fit in good right here." And then he lifted up the 8. He was like, "I'm Tiny Solo, A-Trey Gangster Crips." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, that was my boy, man, Michael Meadows. That was my boy right there, man.
Yeah, he was a real one, man. Most definitely, man. Do you remember Madman from 60s? Tiny Madman?
Tiny Man. I remember when he got down, him and Lil Sheik got down in the laundry room, and him and my boy Lil B-Rap from NHP, they got down in the laundry room.
Yeah.
Then Tiny got down with him too in the laundry room.
Yeah,
he
man.
had Dixon to Cleveland.
Yeah,
So
everybody fighting Tiny Madman.
Yeah, when he got to Cleveland, he had about 4 or 5 enemies there, so he had to run some fades. He had some fades he had to run.
Oh, yeah,
before
most definitely, man. And that's what I appreciated about the brothers, man, was the brothers would run their fades, and then it was all good. You know what I mean?
It was all good after that.
Yeah, it was all good, but they was most definitely run their fades, man. And like I said, there's a lot of guys that made an impact on me. You probably left before Snoop from A-Trey Hoover got there, but, man, I used to tell people he had some serious hands, man.
Right. I mean, there was so many Hoovers there, like, man, it was deep.
Oh, yeah.
I remember packed out the Mexican, there was a Mexican dude named DJ from 9-0. He was from 90s Prep. He was on, I forgot what unit, but you know when you come out from the side where Mr. Newman's class is, the gang class?
Yep, out there behind, in the back of the bin.
Back, but so they caught him in the back right there, but between there and the gym, where you go in the gym, that little turn right there.
Mm-hmm.
Packed his ass out. It was about 15 Hoovers and A-Trays. It was all together. I was like, damn. But, you know, at that time, right then, the neighborhood code wasn't that deep. It was more A-Trays and Hoovers there than anything.
Yeah, more than anybody. That's why I remember right off the top was the A-Trays, the Hoovers, and then Watts. Watts always had a strong established.
Watts was deep. Definitely Watts was deep.
Yeah, they had a nice car, man. You know what I mean? Like I said.
Then you got down with Bullet. That was my dude. He did years on Kennedy. You know, he was like the only blood on Kennedy for at one point for a minute.
He was. It was him until Smiley Roo got there.
Yeah, Smiley Roo had that drug program he had to do. You know, Nikito Sims.
Yep. Oh, pretty ass Smiley Roo.
Smiley Roo, 85, bro.
We used to say Smiley Roo with the good hair, right?
Yeah, good hair, yo.
With the good hair, right? But
always smile. Got jokes too.
Got jokes, man. I had a chunking with him, man. And that's what I told the story is
he'll get down. One thing about Smiley was getting down like with a hell of motherfuckers.
Yeah, man. And there was Shadow from Great was back there, who used to be a Southsider, but then he turned Baby Low.
Shadow was Sporty. There was another dude named Shadow and a light skinned Sporty. They was on Roosevelt. They was both from Watts Body or Great. And I remember they went to one went to Kennedy and one went home.
Yeah, the one that went to Kennedy, that's the one, man. I said that man hit me so hard, it felt like I got struck by lightning.
No, he was known for his hands. He was known, he was tall and skinny too.
Yep.
You know.
Yes, indeed.
He was known for his hands. He was known.
And then Young Deg from PJ Watts, man. Me and him used to fight so much. He liked to play a lot, but we was homies. But man, at the same time, it wasn't nothing to run behind the handball court and catch a friendly fade just to do it, you know.
Nellis made me a man early. You know what I mean? Running them fades. People be like, how you fight like that? Just go to Nellis. You know what I mean? You wasn't just going to do your time at Nellis without fighting.
Oh, no.
I don't think it was a square. You was going to have a fight.
Oh,
you know
that's most definitely. Right off the top. Someone's going to test them waters. And like I said, man.
They was going to jack your locker. You know what I mean? You was going to throw a fuck and you was going to have to fight.
They was going to reject the shit out of that and it was on, huh?
That in the song, like, let's turn up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We going to the hole.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely.
Have you ever heard of Joey Boy Still Around or K9?
You know, I actually got some recent pictures of K9. He's still prevalent in the game. He's still out there in Fresno. As far as Joey Boy, man, last I heard, Joey Boy was locked up. He got into the mix pretty heavy. But everyone's pretty much doing their thing. You know, everyone's either in prison or or still in the mix. You know what I mean? It seems like the only one that we lost out of the Northerners was the homeboy Spanky, rest in peace, from Gilroy, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's the only one. But besides that, man, everyone else is, like I said, they're either doing multiple life sentences or they're out there wiggling on the streets. You know what I mean? I'm just glad I'm out here.
Yeah, hey, you doing your thing, man. Keep doing your shit, man. Gonejo's still around too from Hayward?
Yeah, he's out there, man. He's out there in Hayward. Last I heard, he was out there doing his thing too.
Okay, cool. So there's still people around, man. If you talk to Cisco, man, make sure you tell him I said mine.